right, we're live day 390. Today we're doing something a little different. We're going to be going over, just lagging a little bit. Okay, we're going to be going through what is a HUD 221D4 loan. Okay, now we can start off with just a couple items, meaning what is the benefits of a HUD loan? Now, traditionally, there are new construction loans where typically people would borrow money with a 1 to maybe even 3 year interest only term. And this way, there are situations where, as part of you building those apartment buildings, you're rolling in all the interest reserves for those 1, 2, or 3 years where you're building the building, where you're not able to generate any cash flow to pay that interest. So sometimes those interest reserves are rolled into your total cost of your capital stack, meaning what is your total project cost from everything from hiring architects, engineers, which is what we typically call the soft cost, to the actual hard cost for labor, materials to build the actual apartment building. Now, the HUD 221D4 loan, let me go through a couple of things. Traditionally, some unit construction loans are going to be recourse. What does that mean? It means that you can be personally liable for that loan. So if something goes completely wrong, they can go after your assets and sue you and to recover as much of the principal amount of the loan as possible. Now, again, just keep in mind, I'm not a lender. This is not financial advice. I am simply regurgitating what I've learned about HUD 221D4 loans, okay? And this is just my way of learning, because when I say it out loud, this is how I learned these much better. Now, let's see. There's so many different information sources about HUD loans, but I'm going to pull out a couple of them just from a few different overviews I know. Okay. Now, obviously, sometimes when you will have new construction loans, I mean, at one point they went down to like 50% of the cost, which means that you would have to raise a significant amount of equity from private investors to build your apartment building. The advantage of a HUD loan is that they can go really, really high. So here's your example. So your loan sizing for the HUD 221D4 loans below 125 million are as follows. If you have a market rate unit, right? So as long as you can demonstrate that there is a housing need in that area, that's one of your first requirements for a HUD loan or for a multifamily specifically. Now, if you do that, you have a 85% loan to cost. So that means that if you have a $100 million project, including land, soft costs, and hard costs, you can get a loan for 85 million. As long as your rents and your net operating income that you generate from the properties after you're stabilized can yield a 1.176 DSCR. DSCR stands for debt service coverage ratio. So that means for every single dollar or debt that you're servicing a month, you need to generate $1.17, 17.6 cents. You want to get that granular. But that's what it requires, because no lender wants you to be exact, because that's way too tight, right? What if you get a month where you have way more vacancies, right? That's the whole part of the DSCR. Now, when you have that piece in place, now you're going to figure out, okay, well, how am I going to service the debt? Do I have to reach into my pocket? And that's why lenders don't want to ever see a DSCR that's exactly on the money. Now, then you have this other property type called affordable, right? Affordable just means that you have to have at least 40% of units set aside for 60% of the AMI, or 20 units at 50% AMI. So that's one area, and this might be a dated one, actually. Let's see, where's this one? This one's probably written a long time ago, because it's first in 2019. Yeah, this is in 2019. So that I believe that affordable number is a little different now. But just talk to your HUD lender, and just remember, a HUD lender just simply means that there is a lender lending you the capital, but HUD is coming in and insuring that loan. Okay, so let's talk about why that's so beneficial. This is a HUD 221D4 from Gershman. I know a great contact, Gershman, so you guys ever need to contact Gershman, let me know. So, personal liability. This is probably one of the most important factors of a HUD loan. These are non-recourse, which means if for some reason something went completely wrong and it was out of control, they can't come after your personal assets for this loan, which is huge, right? Especially if you're talking about 10, 20, 50, $100 million projects. That's huge. Not a lot of people can have the financial wherewithal to guarantee a loan amount that big, okay? Another great term. You can have up to a 40-year amortization. Now, if you remember correctly, right, what we talked about earlier was about the debt service coverage ratio. Now, when you're able to spread those payments, that huge loan across 10 more years, right, 120 more months, now all of a sudden you can meet that debt service coverage ratio requirement a lot easier. Not guaranteed, just a lot easier because now you're spreading over extra 120 months. That's a huge difference. That allows you to generate much more cash flow every single month. All right. Now, generally, what we've been seeing, I've seen high fives, low sixes for interest rates on these loans lately. But don't forget, if you're getting a HUD loan, you got to have a mortgage insurance premium. So those premiums range from 0.25 to 0.65. So let's say you get a quote for 6% interest rate. Make sure you're adding in the whatever that premium is, but it might go up to 6.65% after you add in a mortgage insurance premium. So these are all going to be very, very important. Now, some downsides. Typically, we've heard that this project, HUD loans, they might take up to 6-12 months to get those loans approved. So they might be a little bit longer, but that's probably because you have to meet HUD requirements, especially go through a concept meeting and actually talk to them what you're trying to do, and more importantly, get their approval, because guess what? They're going to be checking a lot of things. If you're off by one day on a construction budget, you might have to put it in change order, right? They're insured in the loan. So you can bet that they're going to do their diligence because they know that you're not personally liable, so that they have to make sure that you're in compliance with all the requirements. Now, one of the big ones are, if you want to call it downsides, but Davis-Bacon standards. So this is typically what they call our prevailing wages. Now, when you are doing a project with prevailing wages, it can be really, really expensive because, labor might be up towards $100 an hour. So that is a significant cost driver. So you have to figure out how you're going to create and build a building in a profitable way. And this is probably where you want to do a project, especially with a GC or a builder or a contractor that has closed on a HUD loan before, that has the experience of meeting HUD's compliance requirements, can report accurately, and allow you to have the confidence that you can go get that building built, right? Sometimes we talk about building apartment buildings, but when it comes to actual execution on it, doesn't matter how great your underwriting, if the execution is not there and you don't have the right project managers, you don't have the right owners reps, you don't have the right builder, that's going to be a very, very big problem for you, right? You do not want that reputational risk. So we talked a lot about that. Tons of folks, you can also refinance into a HUD 223F loan, because those programs, they go up to about 85 to 90% of the value. So in the past, right, you could see other people where they go get a traditional construction loan, pay 2 years, 3 years interest only, get the project stabilized by year 3, year 4, and then refinance into a HUD loan for a 35-year amortization. Why do people want to do that? Because you might have generated a significant amount of equity from building an apartment building, stabilizing it, and with a refi to a HUD loan, then that allows you to pull back out some of the capital much earlier in the cycle so that you can recycle that capital and allocate it to another development, as an example, right? Right. So your cash out feature, you can go up to 80% LTV if it's purely for a cash out play. All right. Well, those are some of the highlights of a HUD loan. I'm going to be having another guest. His name is Michael Ian, one of the first attorneys to ever do a LIHTC deal. He's done over hundreds of HUD related deals. So I'm going to bring him onto the podcast. We're going to talk about a HUD loan, what the requirements are, how do you actually go about proceeding with a HUD loan. And that's going to be on the podcast in about 2 weeks from now. All right. I hope you all have an amazing Thursday. I'll be back here again tomorrow for day 391, and leave some feedback. If you guys like learning about these other topics that I'm learning about every single day, not just about Section 8, not just about single family, I want to make this channel a little bit more diversified now in terms of content, and also allow me to master these topics by teaching it back to you, because that's my best way, my best approach of learning and mastering all of these different items about affordable housing. So I'll see y'all tomorrow for day 390.